I'm going to check for a
Wendy
notification.
Bell Radio is live.
Right on, right on, right on. All right, let's see what's going to be notified. Will it be my phone? Usually it takes 2 minutes or so, doesn't it? Isn't that normally what happens?
People are already checking in.
All right. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, did you see Alec? I will definitely be cutting up Alec Baldwin's interview.
Wow, he didn't pull the trigger.
Right.
It happened on its own.
The Wendy Bell Radio app sent an
alert. Yay! Ooh, Facebook did send me one.
We're being shadow banned bad, guys.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Whatever, they can suck it. That's what I have to say, folks. You know how I feel about being silenced.
Iowa, Massachusetts.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Oh, jeez. Another movie reference she's probably going to butcher.
I do a terrible job at that.
You do a terrible job at that.
It's not my thing. Everybody has a thing. I'm still searching for mine. It just does not happen to be remembering with most clarity. I usually fall asleep during movies. That's what a hottie I am.
They just came in.
I love it too. Aren't they awesome? So these are the new beanies or whatever we're calling them.
Jason's calling them beanies.
I love this.
Yeah, I do too.
I think these are really great. This is when I'm having a bad hair day. Didn't you like how I set you up? I love these. They're blue, red, white, and blue. I think it's absolutely outstanding. There we go. Let's see. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Wisconsin. Right on. Minnesota. Hello from Lifesavers. What? Not sure what that means. But hello anyway. Idaho.
And we are upping.
Nice.
We are upping our drinking glass game.
Okay, so this is real, guys. I find it very interesting that in the United States of America, we have a president and an administration that makes it ridiculously expensive for American businesses to do business. With all of the taxes, with all of the red tape, with all of the regulations, with all of the BS, there's a reason why so much of what we buy here in America is not made here in America. And in the last week or two, we have seen an outrageous price point jump in the things that we make.
30%.
That is huge. Not to mention the outlandish delays in shipping and the outlandish expense of shipping. And so Jason, Brock, and I.
And the loss of, we've had shipments that are sent out to us that have been lost.
They're like,
we cancel your order.
It's absolutely preposterous what Jason has been going through, and Brock trying to find alternate places to get merchandise so we can fulfill orders and we can continue doing what we're doing. And so we have made the business decision that if we can find merchandise, so long as it is not made in China, and we can benefit someone's economy and not have to raise prices and keep things relatively affordable for you, that is what we are going to do. So we are beginning to shop for our glasses. Brock and Jason have found beautiful glasses.
Yeah, they're going to be etched by someone, a small business.
In Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So we're going to buy the glasses, not in America.
Well, these first round we got, it took 4 weeks to get the glasses.
We can't wait that long anymore.
No.
And we can't have you wait that long anymore. So we are going to be branching outside of America. We don't want to. But we refuse to give any money to China, communist China.
Yeah.
Will not do it. And if that means we support Honduras, so be it. If it's Bangladesh, okay. If it's Mexico,
Canada,
okay. It's a tough decision, but it comes down to the dollars and cents of what we're trying to do and the speed with which we want to get things to you. So know that our number one objective is made in America. Also know we will never buy China.
And part of it is finding just the inventory that you guys have bought. Like sweatshirts, prime example. Sweatshirts, when we bought the original order of sweatshirts, they were one price. That's why we could sell them for, I want to say like $50 $52. Jason told me it was 53, whatever it was. But now sweatshirts, just to buy the blanks, is $59.
We can't do that anymore.
Because who's going to pay $70?
I'm not gonna put on our website, hey, buy a double XL sweatshirt for $75. That's just idiotic. So we like small businesses all across America are getting the squeeze, and we're jumping through hoops to make it happen. Just know that we will be upfront and honest with you the entire way.
Right.
And I think in a dishonest world, it's a pretty good beginning. Anyway, welcome. Happy to have you along.
All right, here we go.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Good Thursday, America. Hello and good morning to each of you across the beautiful fruited plain of the United States of America. I'm delighted to have you joining us, Brock, myself, here at the Wendy Bell radio program. If this is your first time tuning in, no matter where you're driving, if you're tuning into a radio station and you hear this program, let me welcome you. Let me tell you that we are proudly your source for common sense conservative values. It's as simple as that, my friends. My name is Wendy Bell, and as always, I love being with you for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Thank you for spending some of your precious time with us and our family here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. I was driving my two youngest sons, 13-year-olds, Bobby and Chris, out to soccer practice last night. And it was one of those practices, they're on this club team for a German professional soccer team that has small satellite training academies for kids. There are about 6 of them in the United States for this particular league, and Bob and Chris play for the one here in southwestern Pennsylvania. So we're driving out for their practice, and I'm going to sit in the car and wait for the practice to be done and then take them home. And as we're driving home, it's about 8:15 at night, we get off the highway, and the exit that we take passes us by the old television station where I used to work for about 18 years. The station where I was fired 5 years ago, going on 6 now, because I was a racist. They said so. I was racist for putting up a Facebook post regarding an absolutely breathtakingly horrific crime that took place half of a mile from the TV station where I was broadcasting at 11 o'clock that particular night. And 6 African-American neighbors of mine lost their lives in this tragic backyard massacre. And it troubled me for a long time. And I put up a Facebook post saying, you know what, we're not doing enough. We're not moving the needle enough. Too many of my neighbors, the lion's share of them, African American, are victims of senseless violence. Who's going to be the leader to stand up and speak up? Who's going to be that person? Are we just going to continue to go on the news every night and put on our makeup and pretend that it's just another news day as another family buries another person who is beloved? At what point do we have that honest conversation and say enough is enough? I was called racist for saying this. You're not allowed in our country to be white and to speak about problems that are not white in the moment, apparently, which is a tragedy. And so I was canceled. It made international news. Racist news anchor fired for controversial Facebook post, blah, blah, blah. Now, many years have passed, and I will tell you that was one of the greatest blessings of my life, because if you're on a detour of your own right now, and I know a lot of you listening to my voice are, you're at a crossroads. You're in a position you didn't ask to be in, but alas, you are there, and you are forced to make that decision. Do I go right? Do I go left? Because I know if I go straight, it's a detour, it's a dead end. So as we're getting off of the expressway, passing the television station that fired me, my boys, without even thinking, this is what the family does, they all put up a very unfriendly hand gesture outside of the window. They're talking to each other, and out goes the hand, just passing the station. We giggle about it because everybody kind of flips the bird to this particular television station. I said to the boys, I said, you know what? It's funny that everybody in our family does this. It's almost like psychosomatic. You don't even think about it. It's just this instinctive thing that we do. I said, but you realize that if that hadn't happened to me, my son Chris says, Mom, can you stop putting a happy sugar coating on them firing you and calling you a racist? And I said, Christopher, that actually is the truth, though. Because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have found every other path and decision that I've made that have led me to this position where I am now. I wouldn't have the honor to stand here in front of this microphone and to speak to you every day, honestly and freely, without a corporate entity trying to tell me what I am allowed and not allowed to say. This would not be happening. I would not have this tremendous privilege. And so I am incredibly grateful. And I was thinking about this morning, the things for which I am grateful. And it's almost as though we have been given this perfect gift of a trifecta. We were given Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and COVID. Now, I want you to follow me as I connect these dots. If any of those things hadn't happened, we wouldn't be in this time of history in America that we're in right now. And it is pivotal. It is critical. And you play a precious role in it. One, if Donald Trump hadn't been elected, we would have had no idea how corrupt, how biased, how triggered, how unhinged so many people in our country are. We wouldn't have been able to see the rampant daily bias in the media. We would have no idea. Donald Trump gave us that shining spotlight that became so undeniable. If we didn't have COVID, we wouldn't see in such remarkable speed the greed, the lust for power, and the extent of corruption in so much of the bureaucracy of our government and its ancillary tentacles. We wouldn't be introduced to the people like Tony Fauci, like Rochelle Walensky. We would have no idea how Bill Gates and his billions of dollars plays puppeteer behind the dark curtain. We would have no idea what the National Institutes of Health or the NIAID or the FDA or the CDC, we would have no concept how bought and paid for and how terribly corrupt these individuals running these organizations were. Similarly, we would have no clue the depth of the swamp in Congress. And if Joe Biden hadn't been elected, allegedly, in 2020, we would have no concept with this amount of speed, the degree to which the corrupt communist Marxist socialist left has been planning to overthrow America. Can you think of how this would play out if Elizabeth Warren or Cory Booker or Amy Klobuchar, people who do actually think for themselves in a way I don't agree with, but who are not the pawns of a mentally vacuous Joe Biden, how much longer it would take for us to see the true evil of that. And gentlemen, I am profoundly grateful for those three things: Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and COVID. If those things hadn't have happened, we wouldn't be witnessing history right now. You would not understand, perhaps, that not only are you watching history, you play a role in shaping history. My friends, you were made for this moment. Whatever crossroads you happen to be at, whatever proverbial gun is being held against your head, whatever decision is being made that you don't want made for you, whatever circumstance you're in, do not feel despair. Do not be desperate. Do not be despondent. And by all means, do not feel helpless, because you were made for this right now. We are engaged in a remarkable revolution, the speed of which our founding fathers and the people who fought and died for this great republic generations prior to ours couldn't even fathom. The wars that have been fought on behalf of we the people and people we care for in other places around planet Earth almost pale in comparison to this very moment. We might not be grabbing the muskets per se. We are not putting on the red coats and buffing those brass buttons. We're involved in trench guerrilla warfare. It is a street fight. And the thing that the people who are in charge right now, who believe that they hold the strings, that we are the dancing, obeying marionettes, what they don't understand is that each of us will have our moment, like Ralphie in the Christmas Story when he gets socked in the face with a snowball thrown by the bully. There is that moment of snap where you've had enough, where you will take no more, and where you will rise up and you will fight back to save America. That moment is now. I am a patriot. Who are you? Exciting news from my friends at Advanced Integrative Medical 360. Effective now, and this is such exciting news. They are now Body by AIM 360. Brand new marketing, brand new logo, very similar message that I've shared with you over the last year or two. But this whole body approach to your wellness, from the food you eat to the supplements that you take to the prescriptions that are way overprescribed for you, to how you feel, to how your body weight is, all of it connected and managed and helped with the medical professionals at Body by AIM 360. $199. That's what it takes to get your fitness, your wellness journey started. You can go to any of the Body by AIM 360 offices here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, or you can go online to bodybyAIM360.com. Get that gift certificate for somebody you love. Give them the gift of hope and healing and joy, or do it for you. The number 412-227-9255. New website, bodybyAIM360.com. When we come back, I have so much to talk to you about. So many of these stories today of people who are seeing the light, who are becoming the revolutionaries. And they're everywhere. They will leave you with great hope today. Don't go anywhere. We've got a great show. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. I'm digging the hat. Is it warm?
It is warm. It is warm.
What are you looking at?
It's the stream.
How's everybody doing?
Wally in Canada. Wally.
Oh, Wally, our friend?
Yeah, what's going on up in Canada?
Oh my goodness. It's so exciting to have him along.
He's here every day.
Is he?
I see you, Wally, every day.
You know, this is very exciting, and I want to share this with you guys. This is something that I think a lot of shows don't have. It's this community that is you, talking to each other, listening in the commercial breaks. As you know, we're on live radio. And so because we do this live stream, the entirety of the 3-hour show, there's this break time that we get to share together. Yesterday, I was bemoaning the fact that this beautiful wreath that Brock had made for my family was lost in some construction issues that we had. And I had said, all I wanted was for Brock to make me a new wreath. I wanted some greenery. I wanted a bow. I wanted some white lights. So I got home yesterday from the gym, first time I'd been in a month because I've been sick. And guess what was on my doorstep? Wrapped up in a package, my friends Carol and Gio from Green Tree, who calls quite often, they had gone out and they had gotten me a green wreath with a red bow and white lights, and it was sitting there. Is that the coolest thing? Come on.
I will make you another one.
Don't make me another one.
I will make you.
No.
I won't have it for Christmas.
Ryan, I came home and Ryan was picking it up and I saw him walking it inside. And he says, can I open it? Can I open it? And I saw it said from Carol and Gio. And I said, sure, those are friends of mine. They're wonderful. And I saw it and I got tears in my eyes. And he's like, what? It's just a wreath. And I'm like,
no, it's not.
It's not just a wreath. You don't know the story. And I told him. And he's like, that is really cool. And I'm like, that is the Wendy Bell Radio family. That is amazing. That is you. And I'm profoundly grateful. Do you like my shirt? Brock got me this shirt. You can't see what it says on the back.
I can read it.
Okay.
Mom, noun, someone who 1, works 365 days a year with no days off. 2, will care, nurture, and love you unconditionally. 3, will beat your ass with a smile if you mess up.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you, Brock. That's perfect.
All right, here we go.
Outstanding. Isn't it interesting how certain moments in your life really give you a perspective and a focus on the people in your life who are worth your time and those who are just kind of dragged along as baggage? I say often, the older you get, the smaller the circle of your intimate contacts, the people who you would take a bullet for, you would go to the mat for, you would do anything for, and would do that for you, becomes very, very small. Well, I can tell you that my circle is no longer a circle, it's a line. It is that small that it doesn't even go and connect. And I have never felt more free, more liberated, and more confident to stand before you every day and unabashedly love America. To every single day share with you information that I believe is vital to our understanding of what's going on in this country. I wrote on the board to the left of me some things in my mind that just make sense. You can either be on the side of saving this great country, you know, the place where millions of people try to come every year because they know what we have is magic, but it was magic that was fought for in the trenches. It was magic that paid the ultimate price on a field in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It is magic that we so often take for granted. You can either be on the right side of saving America, or you can sit back and you can watch its destruction. You can sit back where it's comfortable, where it's safe, where you're not in the crosshairs of social media, where you don't have to see the relationships that you know are lousy relationships, that don't nourish your soul, that don't lift your spirit, that don't improve your life. You can drag them along. Or you can have that honest moment where you say, you know what? I'm not going to sit back and be quiet anymore. I don't care what you think. I don't care if this hurts your feelings. We have a country to save. And today, I'm going to be that one. We talked yesterday about Dr. Oz throwing his hat in the Senate ring here in Pennsylvania. And for an hour, which is highly unusual on this program, it is terribly unusual for us to take phone calls terribly commonly at all, but let alone for an entire hour of the show. But what you were calling and saying was mesmerizing. What you say is exceedingly telling and very insightful, and I wanted to hear more of it. Well, people connected to Dr. Oz were listening, and those connections have been made. And so one of those connections puts me in touch with Dr. Oz's PR mouthpiece, whatever, whomever this individual is, a connection to open the door to say, hey, I'd like to have you on my show. I think we should have a conversation. People who listen to me, who love America, would like to ask you some questions, Dr. Oz. This individual got in touch with me, knows who I am because of this program. And so, as I promised, I'm going to try to get him on this show so we can do our due diligence, so we can determine who do we want to take America into the next chapter of history. Because make no mistake about it, where we are now is not where we wish to be. And you know this. It is choosing the correct people, though, weeding out those who are farcical, who want us to believe they are one thing when we know that they're another. This battle is on. This street fight is on. And I know I'm not the only one with my sleeves rolled up, ready to go. I will not back down. And neither will you. And if it starts today with you standing up and owning who you are, even if that means your circle becomes a line, so be it. It's perhaps the greatest feeling you could possibly experience. When we come back, some great audio sound bites from yesterday, things that you've missed that you won't hear about anywhere else. Fighters ready to go. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. If it has been a while since you got, I've been pointing a lot. I'm sorry about that. I'm not trying to be aggressive. I talk with my hands. It's what chicks do. If it has been a while since you've had your chimney inspected and you live in southwestern Pennsylvania, I want to tell you about my friends at Piccadilly Chimney. Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps, this is a special business started by two men almost 40 years ago, two brothers who wanted to get involved in something that I think is really important. I don't know if this time of year there's anything more important than knowing that the way you keep your family warm, the way you celebrate the holidays with a roaring, crackling fire, that you're keeping your family safe while you're doing it. That means taking care of your chimney, making sure the liner is intact, that there's no compromises inside, making sure the firebox is pointed correctly, that the damper works. Everything that's part of a chimney is in working and clean order. If you don't know who to call, and who does, I don't know much about chimneys, but I do know who to call, and it's my friends at Piccadilly Chimney. Each Piccadilly chimney sweep has passed the rigorous Chimney Safety Institute of America chimney sweep certification process. Look, the number one way you can support what we do on this program is to think about supporting the businesses that allow us to do this on our own, and that is our sponsors, and Piccadilly Chimney is one of them. Here's the number: 412-221-0196, piccadillychimney.com. Even an email saying, hey, we appreciate you supporting Wendy Bell and what she does means a lot. Giving them business means even more. 412-221-0196, Piccadilly Chimney.
For all you guys who think Dr. Oz is a rhino, that's why you have him on.
I don't know.
You know, let's.
I freely tell you I don't know.
Yeah,
No
I
idea.
don't know anything about him. I'm kind of waiting for his response too. I mean, I know the nice thing is you know what you are looking for. So.
And you know what? You cannot expect any candidate to say every single thing that you're going to agree with.
Right.
There are things that he is going to say or will have done that you're not going to be down with. But fundamentally speaking, and I think that's why you bringing up yesterday that term limits is a really, that if you can't say yes with term limits, that's probably a really good deal breaker, because we don't want career politicians in this country anymore. We have to fundamentally rethink who we allow the privilege and the honor of representing we the people. And just because you get in doesn't mean you deserve to stay in forever. I don't know if there is a career politician out there that we can get behind and say that has been beneficial to America, regardless of political party. I can't think of one. Certainly isn't Joe Biden. Certainly isn't, Mitt Romney. Certainly isn't Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or any of these people who've been there 30, 40 years. Move along. Now go pay taxes like everybody else. Go have health insurance like everybody else has. And by the way, you shouldn't get paid for life. Go get a job. How about that?
If for everybody wondering where I got the shirt for Wendy, it's called Grunt Style. They have a lot of cool stuff on there.
Oh yeah. I love it. It makes my
There you go.
look really big. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey man, love what you got.
Work with what you got.
Work with what you got. Love what it is. All right. I might go into Ted Cruz right now. I don't know. Do you like ASU or do you like Ted?
I like Ted. ASU's end of the show.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. This is where my favorite senator, John Kennedy, comes to play again. I love him. I love him. I want him on.
Yeah.
We need to get him on. We don't have a lot of guests often. We don't often take a lot of calls.
We can start. I to be honest with you,
I think we're going to start.
callers are more interesting to me than politicians. I know what answer I'm getting from the politicians, and
Right.
hearing what you guys say.
Right.
I mean, like you said, hearing what they said about Dr. Oz
Right.
made you go, we need to get him on the air.
Right.
So
Right.
this is what people are worried about. I mean, part of our job is to vet, for lack of better things.
I agree.
And we're just using your questions and your concerns to vet them.
Mm-hmm. Well, what we would do is if we knew he was coming on a specific day, I'd put up a post and say, what do you want to know?
Right.
And we just go from there.
And usually they give you, and we could They usually give you a day in advance, at least.
And you know what? Thursdays usually are Ask Us Anything segment too somewhere. So maybe we want to put that somewhere in the lineup today. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right, here we go.
Welcome back, everybody. You are tuned into the Wendy Bell Radio program. As always, we love having you along for as long as you can spend. You know, one of the things that I think a president has as a tremendous wielding of power is judicial appointments. And we really don't pay a lot of attention. Oftentimes, these nominees don't necessarily get a lot of attention. What Donald Trump did in his 4 years, his first 4 years, was astonishing. I don't have the numbers on how many people he got on the bench, but his appointments are pivotal. And I really paid attention to it the other day when we were talking about this judge pushing back against Joe Biden administration's basically OSHA enforcement of forcing you guys to get the jab. If you're in healthcare, if you work with the Center for Medicaid and whatever services, you have to get this. Well, judge stood back and said, whoa, 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 whoa. In 10 states that have filed suit, we're going to push the pause button on this because this isn't feeling right. So we had said this is going to go to the 8th Circuit, which is in St. Louis. And I started looking at the 11 people on the 8th Circuit. And I was delighted to see one was appointed by President George H.W. Bush. 4 were appointed by George W. Bush, 1 by Obama, and the most 4 recent by Donald Trump. Gives you a little bit of confidence that in a crazy leftist world gone wild, this is like Girls Gone Wild, but it's leftist gone wild, right? Without the wet t-shirts, right? There's some semblance of maybe sanity left in a few places on the bench. So this is not making headlines out there, but I stumbled upon it last night as one of Joe Biden's nominees, and for a pretty specific point, a very important placement, a U.S. District Court nominee. And I believe this is the Southern District of New York, where Ghislaine Maxwell is being tried. A guy by the name of Dale Ho, who is the director of voting rights, the director of the Voting Rights Project at the ACLU, which screams to me liberal, leftist, lib, right? Is being interviewed and being called out by some very specific people who we like to have sound from on this program. They are tenacious fighters. I believe they are people who are in the trenches with the likes of you and me, who are pushing back against what Joe Biden, not Joe Biden, but whomever the puppeteer is, who's making the marionettes dance, wants to fundamentally change the fabric of America. How do you do that? Well, you do that in a lot of ways, but if you can get the right people on the bench, man, oh man, you own a lot of power. So yesterday, Republican senators took turns grilling President Biden's nominee for the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. This is at a Senate hearing. Dale Ho, who headed the ACLU's partisan Voting Rights Project, came under fire for his radical views, including a number of incendiary statements he made on social media. Do you agree with me that if you're going to represent law and order, if you're going to be the face of justice in a place in America, that you cannot be pro-right or pro-left? You have to be pro-America. You have to be pro-law. What does the law say? Not what do my political proclivities tell me I should rule as. And boy, oh boy, did Ted Cruz and our friend John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana, have an interesting time with Mr. Ho, who has said some very interesting things himself. So I want to run through a few of these things because you're not going to hear about this anywhere else. These are the people, the Dale Ho's are the extreme leftists who Joe Biden's masters envision taking our country, at least on the judicial side, into the next chapter. Here's their first soundbite where Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, is talking about, you said some things in the past that are kind of interesting. Can you explain, Mr. Ho? Go.
In his first year in office, President Biden has made a pattern of nominating extremes, partisans, and radicals to serve in the administration, but especially to serve on the bench. And unfortunately, that pattern continues today. Mr. Ho, you will not be surprised that I want to address some questions to you. And in my view, your record reflects that same pattern of finding someone who has been an extreme partisan, who has been a radical, and President Biden trying to put judicial robes on that partisan and radical agenda. And I would note at the outset that that's not just my characterization. You yourself have described yourself as, quote, a wild-eyed leftist, and further as someone, quote, accused sometimes of seeing discrimination everywhere you look. Is that right?
Senator Cruz, I think the key word in that quote is accused. What I was doing...
Let's start with the first one, wild-eyed sort of leftist.
Well, again, Senator Cruz, I think I was characterizing how others have caricatured myself.
I want you to pay close attention to Mr. Ho's body language. I want you to pay close attention to what he does with his eyes as he's trying to dig himself out of the hole that social media and its footprint in saving crap that we all write, right, has brought to the forefront here. Cruz goes on, asking further, and listen, pay close attention. And if you're listening on the radio, I can only tell you that this candidate, this nominee, is going to get very uncomfortable and start to look around the room. Go ahead.
But as a colleague of mine asked me over lunch recently, Dale, do you do this because you want to help people or because you hate conservatives? What he was getting at is that anger can in fact be a tremendous source of power. For me, righteous indignation can provide a sense of moral clarity and motivate the long hours needed to get the work done. But it's only a short-term burst. It's not sustaining in the long run. Mr. Ho, if you wake up and are Judge Ho, and I recognize that New York is a blue state, but imagine there is someone who considers himself or herself a conservative in the state of New York, who, God forbid, finds themselves in a courtroom where you're wearing a robe. What comfort do you think that litigant would have that you described the hatred of conservatives, the righteous indignation, the anger at conservatives as a tremendous source of power for you personally? How does that possibly give anyone comfort that you would be a fair and impartial judge?
How, Mr. Ho? Okay, so I misspoke because we're going to hear his response. This man clearly dislikes anybody who's conservative. If it wasn't for Ted Cruz doing his due diligence, doing his research, digging into his social media, this guy would probably be on the bench in one of the most important districts in our country. That is the district where Ghislaine Maxwell is on trial. Cut number 3, or 2, I should say. I believe this is Mr. Ho's answer as he tries to dig himself out of the excrement soup he's now percolating in.
Thank you, Senator Cruz, for giving me an opportunity to address this. As I mentioned to some other members of the committee, this was a comment that I made in church where I was relaying a joke that someone else had told, the point of which was that that kind of temporary sugar rush from being angry at someone, while it can feel powerful in a moment, it's not the kind of thing that is sustaining for a human being in the long run. That at the end of the day, if you want to do good work in the world, it has to come from a different place, a place of love for your fellow person. And that's what I was trying to convey to my fellow congregants at my church.
Well, that's not what you said.
The sanctimonious do-goodery of idiocy on display right there in Dale Ho. Not only did he say something incendiary, ridiculously inflammatory against half of America, he's going to tell you now that this happened at church because he's a good God-fearing man, right? And he's actually operating out of love. And no, his words were taken out of context. What he was really saying is you can't allow your hatred or your feelings for the moment to color your view of everything. No, I've been mischaracterized. Well, Ted Cruz is a dog on a bone. And he said, well, really, let's talk a little bit more about some things that perhaps you'd like to explain to us. Cut number 3.
And what you said is you described hatred and righteous indignation directed at conservatives. And I would note that that's a pattern that also continues. You know, a minute ago you talked about how you're dedicated to equality. And I will say, looking at your record, that is not in fact the case. Your record instead is a partisan view. So, for example, you are a graduate of the Yale Law School. The Yale Law School has an open policy of discriminating against Asian Americans. One of the first things that Joe Biden's Justice Department did was dismiss the investigation against Yale because today's Democratic Party believes discriminating against Asian Americans in admission is an acceptable form of bigotry.
Boom. Wait until you hear the answer. Cut number 4.
Do you agree with the Biden administration on that?
Senator Cruz, I haven't followed the ins and outs of what the Biden administration has done with respect to that particular matter. What I can tell you,
Do you agree with your alma mater's policy of discriminating against Asian Americans in admissions?
Senator Cruz, I'm a member of the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association. I try to do what I can in the Asian American legal community. I'm not aware of a particular policy of discrimination in admissions at Yale Law School. But I think to your larger question, Senator Cruz, I clerked for judges who were appointed by executives of different parties. They set an example for me that politics, you can have political views, but they don't have a role on the bench. And I would look to follow their examples.
Well, your record suggests precisely the contrary.
I don't understand how a man who's trying to be a judge in a hugely important district is not aware of his own alma mater's accusations of actively discriminating against Asian American applicants to Yale Law School. Ladies and gentlemen, this was all over the freaking news. How can the Biden administration think that we want liars and leftists on the bench? This is what we're up against. Ferreting out these kinds of farcical people who are going to pretend I'm not this way. No. I went to church. I love all people. I would never do that. BS. We're in a street fight, ladies and gentlemen. Ted Cruz, again, sleeves rolled up, and I haven't even gotten to Senator Kennedy because he's absolutely fantastic. Before we get there, I want to thank Simkovich Concussion Institute and Dr. Charles Simkovich and his staff for what they do. When I tell you that they have helped thousands of people who've suffered damage to their brains because of an accident or some kind of a sporting event or even at war, when I tell you that Dr. Simkovich with his hands has taken away the symptoms of concussion, the lack of concentration, the headaches, the sensitivity to light, to sound, to all of it, and has given people their life joy back. I mean, that's not an understatement. Thousands upon thousands. What the Simkovich Concussion Institute does is nothing short of revolutionary. It is non-surgical. And this is why people come here from around the globe to see if Dr. Simkovich can help them too, and he can. Symptoms gone in less than a week, back on track, back in school, back on the job. Does that sound right to you? It does to me. He's a great man, and he's a patriot, a supporter of this program and of your values. 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Make your appointment today or spread the word to somebody you know who needs help. All right, when we come back, why this is so important that you hear what fighters like Ted Cruz and John Kennedy are doing. They are doing the work to prevent another thread from the great tapestry called America from unraveling. I'll talk more about this coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. I'm offended that Dale Ho alleges that he's unaware of Harvard and Yale
Let's look at
being accused of actively discriminating against some of the hardest working people in our society. There's a reason why Asian Americans have such a ridiculous high success rate and achievement rate. It's baked into the culture that starts at home.
Answer me a better question.
Do you want the best applicants, or do you want a smorgasbord of people so you can say, oh, we're so equal opportunity?
Why is it that everyone that goes in front of Congress from the left
Has to lie?
Well, no, is their standard answer, and this goes back to how they keep on the playbook. It's Merrick Garland. I'm not following the Loudoun County case.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know about
Plausible
Asian.
deniability.
Right. Like, come on. You saying I'm not following it when the rest of the country is?
I'm
Tells
not
me you're
trying to be a district court judge, and I know what's going on at your alma mater. You're right, though. It's the plausible deniability that's unacceptable. Joe Biden, you know what? You brought up a great point. I'm going to talk about that when we come back. Did you hear his rationale for not going to Waukesha?
Did you not know it happened? Or was it because the logistics of it? And you and I had this conversation about Tree of Life. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, made it to Pittsburgh, where Tree of Life is, where there was a shooting.
The synagogue shooting that killed
2 years
9.
ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
3.
3.
Not
And
one
our own-
single elected official, all Democrats.
Elected officials did not come. From the mayor, the county exec, the governor, none of them. Why didn't they come? Well, Donald Trump was there.
Mhm. What does that say to your congregation? What does it say to your community? Well, we only will come if it's a Democrat who's there. How despicable are you?
And where was
Donald
the mayor
Trump
that
isn't
night?
Jewish, and he was absolutely destroyed by that.
And where was the mayor that night?
He was at the hockey
hockey
game.
game.
Mhm. Hack. Truly amazing. You cannot make this stuff up.
You can, like Jesse Smollett. It's just a bad movie.
Yeah, and we know how it ends.
Yeah.
With tears and
And Bleach.
and
Here we go.
Well, the news. I think we common sense Americans are certainly tired of the plausible deniability playbook that appears to be chapter 1 of what the Democrats are all about. If you cannot defend your lack of action, or you can't defend your radical views, all you need to do is pretend that you're unfamiliar with that. Brock brought up a great point in the stream. When Merrick Garland was on the hot seat for Loudoun County, for the disgraceful treatment of parents, for the rape of 2 girls, high schoolers, at their schools, and the cover-up. What did the Attorney General of the United States do? The man who Barack Obama wanted to fail upwards to the United States Supreme Court? What did he do? Well, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know. Well, what the hell are you doing then? So Dale Ho, a graduate of Yale Law School. Ladies and gentlemen, I graduated from the University of Colorado in Boulder, Colorado 30 years ago. I'm more in touch with my alma mater in the Rocky Mountains than a guy who's clearly younger, who went to Yale and had headlines splashed all over America about Yale's admission policies and Harvard's being racist because white and Asian American students had between a 1/4 and 1/8 likelihood of it being admitted vis-a-vis a black student. How's that right? I've got it right here. This was 2 weeks after Joe Biden was inaugurated. Justice Department drops race discrimination lawsuit against Yale University. Why was that? That's kind of interesting. Because we want to let everybody get in under the guise of affirmative action. You didn't get there. You didn't earn the position. You're not going to be qualified to get in, regardless of your skin color. But because we're so woke and we need to make sure everybody sees that we have equal numbers of students, we're going to actively discriminate against the most intelligent and the hardest working. Because we don't want too many Asian students walking around. We don't want everybody to think it's just Asian people. Whatever happened to Asian American hate? Oh, because it's right here with your Biden administration. Or has Mr. Ho not plugged into that as an Asian American?
You know who has a connection to Yale University?
Oh, how many?
Joe Biden.
Well, of course.
He and Bill Clinton helped get Hunter Biden into Yale.
Didn't he fall out of that? I don't think he ever graduated. Oh, no, I was thinking about his time in the Navy when he was high.
Yes, he failed miserably.
I beg your pardon.
Someone gave him a cocaine-laced cigarette.
If you want to be part of the judicial system in America and you don't know that the Justice Department dropped a race discrimination lawsuit against your alma mater, I'm just going to say this, dude, go home. This ain't for you. But I think you're going to enjoy this more than anything. Our friend, Mr. You just got to try harder not to suck, John Kennedy from Louisiana, has his time talking to Mr. Ho about things that he's concerned about. Let's hear the senator.
Have you called republicanism, well, strike that. Did you say, quote, republicanism is an anti-democratic virus?
No, Senator, I don't believe I've used those words.
Okay, you're under oath now.
Yes, Senator, I don't believe I've used those words.
Okay.
I do remember saying last year that there was a loss of confidence in our elections that has spread kind of like a virus.
Right, well, that's a long way from calling the Republican Party an anti-democratic virus.
Yes, it's very different, and I don't believe I used those words,
Right.
Senator.
Right. If you did use those words, will you pull down your nomination?
Senator, I don't believe I've used those words.
But if you did, will you withdraw?
It's hard for me to imagine a scenario in which I would
I'm just
use
saying,
those
assume
words.
it. If you said it, will you withdraw?
If I were quoting someone else saying it to describe that kind of sentence, I wouldn't be expressing my own views. But Senator, I don't believe I've ever used those words.
Right. Here's the problem. Leftists are lousy liars. Lousy liars. He's looking around. I don't. You know what? It's almost as though he has taken the Anthony Fauci and Jen Psaki playbook of lying, which is really very entertaining to watch happen and walk through, which we're going to do next. Because you know what? We're on the precipice. We're going to find out today that Joe Biden's going to do something, right? Omicron, or Omicron, as he calls it, is just too dangerous. Wait until you hear Psaki and Fauci and the tag team of failure coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. I love this. Ho said, I very much regret the tone that I've taken on social media from time to time, particularly if it's given anyone the impression that I wouldn't be impartial. Do you think? Do you think? Who are these people? They are puppets of the left, and they have to be rooted out. You know, we don't even need a lib of the week. We can have a wacko of the day. And I'm thinking that that guy is probably in the running right now, but we have a few other contenders, so don't go anywhere. I was deeply gratified to hear that Brock and me talking about our friends at Nemacolin Country Club here in southwestern Pennsylvania, that they've gotten several inquiries about the special that they are offering right now, which is 50% off a new membership to Nemacolin Country Club for a limited time to Wendy Bell Radio listeners. They've gotten several phone calls from you guys, and I'm deeply gratified by that. Look, Brock and I want to golf with you, and we want to golf with you at Nemacolin Country Club. Brock belongs. It is a beautiful place. Rolling hillsides. It is an absolute oasis and a magnificent place for you and your family to have a place to go, to enjoy the pool, to enjoy the clubhouse, to enjoy a dinner out or time with friends, and to just get out and escape. You need these times. And for both of us, Nemacolin Country Club is a very special place. What do you think?
Are you golfing with everybody who joins?
No, I'm not. I said you would. I said you would. I'll be there at the end. Actually, I'll golf. I
Yeah.
love it. It is a special place. And for a limited time, like I said, 50% off your new membership. You will not get a sweeter deal than that.
I can't even get that
Brock
deal.
did not get that deal. So please go online, nemacolin.org, nemacolin.org to request membership information, or you can call Amy. She knows all the ins and outs of this at 724-632-3300. Just hit extension 5, nemacolin.org. Very special place.
Yeah, I didn't even get that deal.
I look forward to going back there. I've not been to a place in southwestern Pennsylvania to golf that is so consistently well maintained.
It is.
It is just glorious.
It makes it, like I said the other day, it makes it hard for me to golf other places.
Mhm. Well, I'm glad you remember. I love this, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I don't think we have that many left. I think we're nearing the end.
I know I had to order. You see how bad it is? I had to order too.
What do you mean, how bad? What do you mean, how bad?
You know,
You're not taking freebies, you mean?
well, no.
See, I tried to pay for some things and you guys said no to me.
These are different
Why?
because we're not making them.
Well, they are handcrafted.
Like,
They are
we're
gorgeous.
up in the glass game.
Yeah.
It's going to be really exciting.
I'm looking forward to it.
To the point, we don't even sell the mock-up that
You know what? We took it down. We looked at it. We weren't happy with it. We bagged it. And I believe Jason has reached out to those people.
he's going to.
He's going to and say, hey, we've got this other design. If you don't want it, we will refund your money. If you do, I think you're going to like it more. Super elegant glasses
Yeah.
with the logo etched onto it and etched by an artist, an artisan here, made in America in southwestern Pennsylvania. I think you're going to love it.
Yeah.
Those should be up here soon.
To the point that Kate wanted whiskey glasses. I'm like, oh.
Wow. But not even to drink whiskey, but
Yeah.
to just have a nice cocktail in. Yeah.
Nutting does not own Nemacolin.
No. Mm-mm.
You're thinking of Seven Springs or
Right.
Hidden Valley, one of those. So I just took away your reason for not joining. So make sure you join. It is nice.
I mean, you will
It's nice
you
course.
will run into Brock and me there.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just a fact. Whether you want to or not.
Right. Shh, that might deter
Right.
people. She doesn't know it, and she's probably not listening because she's probably still sleeping. I think I'm getting Kate golf lessons there next year.
You know, golf lessons are a game changer.
Yeah.
The problem
And
with
Josh
golf
is really
lessons
good.
is you have to play, you have to carve out the time to
Right.
then go play with some regularity.
Right.
And that's really hard with a lot of people's schedules. But like that one summer when I think Joe and I golfed 15 times or something, which is really unusual. It's like 6 months. But it really improved my game. I went from 130 to 105 strokes. It was good.
On the front nine.
But that was big for me. You have to have small expectations. See, I'm operating like a liberal here. Lower your expectations. Have realistic expectations of where you are. Wild-eyed leftist.
Hey, B. Priggs, I didn't scare them off saying they'd run into me. That was Wendy
What?
scaring people off.
Why?
Saying they'd run into me.
Who are you responding to?
B. Prigg? I don't know if that's Bill or Bob or Bubba.
Robert says Nemacolin is right up the road. It is beautiful. I'm delighted that they want to spend the holiday season advertising here.
Right.
Because this is a very unusual offer.
It is.
It's a very unusual offer. And I think country clubs want to realize new members and say, hey, we need some fresh blood, because it's the fresh blood that keeps things moving.
And it's a lot what we talk about too. It's a lot of like-minded people with a nice place to.
That's why I like the battlegrounds.
Yeah.
That's why I get behind
That's
what
why we
Matt
get
and
behind-
Lauren do on
Get
the
behind everyone we
battlegrounds.
get behind.
100%.
It's Bubba. Well, I didn't scare people off. I blame Wendy.
Okay.
Here we go.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from the shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
I think I realized the lack of compassion and humanity and love in this country with certain people when Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was the site of the Tree of Life synagogue massacre. I think it showed a lot of true colors in a lot of ways. Because people can purport to be many things, but when crisis hits, you see true colors in a very clear way. And the Tree of Life situation was particularly hurtful. Well, I can't even say particularly hurtful for me. It was very difficult for the Pittsburgh area. I mean, you know, that's where we broadcast from. It happened a half of a mile from my house. And 2 nights after the massacre, all of the TV networks had descended on Pittsburgh. All the traffic up the street was blocked off. Police were everywhere. As ABC, CBS, CNN, NBC had flown in their main anchors to do the shows, news, live from outside the Tree of Life. They even brought in a crane, a rig to light up the synagogue, which is really a very unusual shaped building, a really beautiful cornerstone of a small community called Squirrel Hill here in Pennsylvania. And I thought I took Murphy, but I didn't. I walked by myself up to the Tree of Life to see what was going on in this particular day. There was not any talking. There were a lot of people. People were walking by the synagogue, leaving. mementos and flowers and lighting candles and doing what we do when we feel impotent to change a horror. And the only sounds you really got were on these competing street corners as the various network news people were doing their live news. It was almost as though we were kind of bumbling around, jumbled inside, but kind of needing to be together. When a deranged lunatic opens fire on strangers, I don't know if you have words for that. It's how I felt the night my 6 black neighbors were gunned down by 2 dudes with a penchant to kill. Who does that? It leaves you speechless. There's no explanation for that. And you don't just turn the page on that chapter and just walk by. There are fingerprints that are left on you, but you do feel impotent because there's nothing you can do. And it was 2 days later, I think maybe 3, the next day, after I'd walked up to be where I needed to be for a little bit of time, that President Trump and the First Lady and Ivanka and her wife Jared, who are both Jewish, came into Pittsburgh to meet with Rabbi Jeffrey Myers from the Tree of Life, who had an intimate connection with the 9 people who were killed. And there were mementos, there were not crosses, I don't know what the structure would be, but with the names of each individual kind of planted outside of the synagogue. And I watched this on television. President Trump and Melania had a box of rocks or whatever these mementos are that have special significance to put on each memory of the lives that were snuffed out that day. And Rabbi Myers was walking by one at a time, explaining, this is so-and-so, this was such and such, these 2 were brothers, and on and on and on. There was no accompaniment of that moment that was so important that the President of the United States be here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. There was no representation of our local or state government there. Not our Democrat governor, not our Democrat mayor, not our Democrat county executive. Whatever their feelings about Donald Trump or conservatives or Republican values, what have you, whatever they felt was so much stronger than joining with the President of the United States in memory of lives that should not have been lost, that said everything I needed to know about the pettiness of politics, particularly on the left. When lives are lost due to senseless violence, how you vote matters not at all. The color of your skin matters not at all. Your religion, your sexual identity or preference matters not at all. If ever there is a time where politics should be blurred out, it is in that moment of grief, and it wasn't. Those Democrats, the leaders, if you will, of the county, the city, and the state of Pennsylvania that this happened in, were so petty they couldn't put it aside to join in grief with the President of the United States. This is the party we're told that is all about healing and inclusion and equality and justice. You're full of it. You're full of it. And I pity you. So I took, of course, great interest in Joe Biden's response to the horrendous tragedy in Waukesha last week, where a man, clearly deranged and hate-filled, decided to speed into a holiday parade and killed 6 people and injured dozens of others. Where's the president? Is he there? Is he making a trip? Is he going to the hospital to talk to the survivors? Is he holding hands with the people whose lives have been completely torn upside down? Donald Trump went to the hospital where the people who were hurt, including police officers, were being treated. It was not part of an expected stop for him, and he asked to go. And he went, and they were grateful. There's a moment in time, and you hope it's infrequent, when the character of a man or a woman supersedes how they vote. You're either for America or you're not. We watched Joe Biden check his watch impatiently at the transfer of bodies as those 13 U.S. service members who got blown up in Afghanistan came back home to America. Their coffins, flag draped, removed from the military aircraft from which they were transported into the individual vehicles that would take them to their respective funeral homes, etc. You can tell a lot by a person's body language. Take aside him looking at his watch each time the bodies came out, or at least a handful of times, which is just tragic. You can tell if somebody loves. You can tell if somebody grieves. You can tell if somebody's invested in the fabric of a country. You can tell if somebody cares about other people's suffering. And you can tell when people care about themselves. When asked if he will visit the families of the Michigan school shooting, Biden on Tuesday balked at that. I don't know that I'm able to do that, Biden replied. I don't even have the detail of who the families are. The President of the United States. He's not been to Waukesha. He's not visited those families. He didn't go to the scene. He didn't pay his respects. He doesn't know if he can put it into his schedule to go visit the shooting victims and their families in Michigan. I don't know who they are. Much like Dale Ho. I'm not sure I remember that case at my alma mater. The President of the United States with the same playbook. I don't know. I don't know who they are. I'm not familiar with that. Refresh my memory, and you are the leader of the free world. Biden spoke to reporters as he left Minnesota after traveling to promote his infrastructure bill, because you know that takes precedence. That legal victory for him takes precedence over the suffering of humans on this land we love. He said he talked with Representative Debbie Dingell, the Democrat from Michigan, about the shooting. Quote, I think she knew somebody who was there, he said. I don't know anybody who was injured. That is the President of the United States. Plausible deniability is one thing if you're a judicial hack nominee. But when you're the President of the United States and it's clear that you don't care not only about your job, but the people you are supposed to represent, right? It's called street fight on. You know, I have an important message for you from Tom Yakupin and his team at West Penn Life and Health. He says, stop Do not renew that bank CD at low interest rates when you can earn 3.5% or more right now, starting now, on a very special and exciting product. It's called the Safe Money Annuity. Safe Money annuities are a perfect alternative to the stock market. It is a very safe, it is a comfortable way to give you peace of mind as you watch your nest egg grow. Here's how it works. You deposit at least $5,000. You're going to set it aside for 5 years and you're going to watch it grow, okay? Guaranteed 3.5% that first year. Good faith estimate in years 2 through 5, 3% growth. Minimum guarantee of 1.75% if all else fails, but it's going to grow more than that. This is perfect for an IRA or a 401k rollover or for your IRA rollover. And Tom Yakupin is the guy who knows how to do this. Give him a call, get in touch with him, ask about the Safe Money Annuity. Go to westpennlife.com, westpennlife.com, or call 724-228-7187. Who knows what's going to happen with the stock market? If you're nearing retirement or you're not comfortable with this, Tom can help you invest your money safely. Tom Yakupin, westpennlife.com. I went a little long on that segment, but you can tell it's from the heart. And you can tell what Joe Biden does is for Joe Biden. It's not for you. It's not for America. It's for Joe and his puppeteers. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. We're back right after this.
Piggyback off of what you just said about Joe Biden. I'm not a big give my shout out to books, but I got the Hunter Biden Laptop from Hell book.
Mm-hmm.
It's very disturbing of this crime family syndicate.
Oh, yeah.
It's very disturbing. This one troll.
They think I'm fabulous.
No, this is the same person has like 800 different accounts.
Oh. Well, they can suck it. I'm glad they're here.
That book is definitely worth it. I'm only on chapter 6 and I can't believe what I'm hearing. Yeah, how do you not follow the story of the school shooting or the Waukesha? I have. I didn't get it on Kindle. I don't know what Kindle is. Is that a separate?
Yeah.
I have Audible for my phone. That's where I got it. The book is called Laptop from Hell, and they go strictly through his emails and stuff. What a dirtbag! What a dirtbag family.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When the cookie crumbles and his legacy is besmirched and he becomes worse than Nixon, it's going to be bad.
Well, I said
there
about
will
Hunter,
be no Biden library. Let's just say that.
How Hunter got into Yale.
Uh-huh.
It was a good poem he wrote.
Uh-huh.
What the? I got kicked out because someone gave me a cocaine-laced cigarette out of a strip club.
Give me a break. You
Don't-
know what? I
don't
lied
go
like
strip
that in the
club.
9th grade when I was smoking in the bathroom in high school in a locked stall and lied and said somebody gave it to me. That's interesting. And I think it's important that you hear this. There is a false, no, it's faux. It's faux concern. It's faux love of country. It's ridiculous. You can tell. You can tell when somebody is sincere, and you can tell when somebody just wants your vote or just wants to steal it, right? There's a reason my circle is a line. There aren't enough people that I know that I want that close to me who I 100% implicitly believe in their goodness. I'm sure they're out there. I'm just not deeply ensconced in them. Joe Biden balks when asked if he's going to visit the families of the Michigan school shooting. And does it come out? Do we know the ethnicity of the shooter? This is a young black person.
No, it's I believe the.
Is it a
the
young white person?
Boy. Yeah, he was bullied.
Young white person. Okay. Isn't it a shame that we have to say, who is this? Because for 48 hours, we didn't know who it was. Why aren't you telling us who it is? What do they look like? It would be a very unusual. What do we know about mass murders? What do we know about most school shooters? These are young, usually white boys, young men. Profilers will tell you this. That's not racist to say. It is realist. President Joe Biden balked on Tuesday when asked by reporters if he would visit the victims and families of those affected in a school shooting in Michigan. I don't know that I'm able to do that, Biden replied when asked by reporters about whether he would visit the victims. Anything you're doing on your infrastructure bill or any other BS should play second fiddle to this, sir.
Isn't the infrastructure bill, though, already done?
Yes.
You're just trying to sell it.
I don't even have the detail of who the families are. The president said. Biden spoke to reporters as he left Minnesota after traveling to promote the infrastructure bill. He said he talked with Representative Debbie Dingell, the Democrat, obviously from that state, about the shooting. Quote, I think she said she knew somebody who was there. Biden said, I don't know anybody who was injured. Aren't you supposed to call people? Isn't that part of the job? A 15-year-old student opened fire with a handgun at Oxford High School in Oxford Township, Michigan, according to reports. 3 students were killed. 16-year-old Tate Meyer, 14-year-old Hannah St. Juliana, and 17-year-old Madison Baldwin. Well, now how does this particular news report know the names of the people, and the president of the United States doesn't? Biden briefly reacted to the shooting during his speech promoting his infrastructure law. Shouldn't that be reversed? Sort of like the 9/11 thing, when the dignitaries, the president and Clinton and Hillary and Kamala were sitting in the front row at the 9/11 site, and all the families who lost people were stuck in the back. Shouldn't it be quite different? Shouldn't the quote unquote dignitaries who don't mean anything sit in the back, and the people who actually suffered that day by losing and burying someone they love should be up front? Shouldn't Biden be talking about those 3 families and the others that were shot rather than pumping, pimping, humping his bill? As we learn the full details, he went on, my heart goes out to the families enduring the unimaginable grief of losing a loved one. I'm surprised that he didn't start talking about losing his son, Beau. This is normally when he chimes in about his own loss. He hasn't been to Waukesha. He hasn't been where? He hasn't been to Oxford, but he is pimping the bill that he browbeat everybody to push. That is his number one objective. One legislative victory that is going to cost us so dang much money. Ladies and gentlemen, everything they're trying to tell us is important is opposite day. It's the 180 rule. Pay attention to what they say. Pay attention to the lack of heart. And pay attention, as I said, we're going to have Peter Doocy, we'll have Fauci and Psaki next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. I want to tell you this. Owens Corning has introduced a new roofing color for 2021. It is called, or 2022, I should say. It is called Bourbon. Chilled blues and toasty notes of gold. It almost makes you thirsty for something. Is a signature bourbon color blend, blending the shades of the sea with chocolates and caramels. Hey, it sounds weird to get excited about a new roofing product, but when you're Ireland Contracting and you're known for the quality of the roofing stuff that you put on, the roofs that you change homes with, bourbon is kind of a big deal. To briefly tell you about Diane and Gary Ireland and their business, Ireland Contracting. They've been in business in southwestern Pennsylvania for decades, and for good reason. They do a good job. They stand by their work. They've got the craftsmen who are second to none. They work within your budget. They stand by what they do, and they're honest, patriotic people. I don't know what more you can ask for if you're putting in new windows, new soffit fascia, new roofing or skylights, new siding. If you're in the market for a home exterior repair in southwestern Pennsylvania or eastern Ohio, call 1-800-NEW-ROOF or go to IrelandContracting.com. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, Guild Quality, and we the people at the Wendy Bell Radio program, Ireland Contracting.
We are up to 4 dead, by the way,
4 now.
at the school shooting.
Okay.
But, let me say this about Joe Biden. Of all the times you could bring up losing a kid, of all time you could bring up about all those kids have parents that lost their child.
And
Of
but you
all
know
the
what you
times
don't
could-
do? You don't go and you don't talk about your kid.
Well,
You use your heart to wrap your arms around people who are just now walking through the path that you've been walking through for years. And you don't talk about your experiences, And so if you're genuine, if you're authentic, if you give a crap, you go and you listen. That's what you do.
you be a human being. Show
It
empathy.
should not be complicated.
No.
Should not be complicated.
Showing empathy should not. No.
I don't mean to get all fired up about that. It's 4 now. Jesus. So it's 3 students and
I believe a teacher.
a teacher.
I'm not sure.
4th
Yes.
victim died yesterday at the hospital. I did not know that.
I have the story right here. And for the people who say I should interact with the people with stars, I guess I can't see that on my software. I'm not looking at the same thing you guys are looking at. So please don't take offense if mine come in from multiple sources. So where are we? Where are we?
I think I'd like to go into now the actual 10:30 segment.
Okay. A 10:30 segment at 10:30.
I know, it's all very intriguing.
I'm kind of that.
Is it Disney?
That throws
It's
me off.
dizzying.
Yeah,
Like,
throws me
wow. We have a lot going on today, so. Oh man, a 4th victim. Jesus. I just. Phew. Freddie, I have this shirt on because Brock bought it for me. But he tells me he bought it for me only because it was an unusually small size, which is my size, and it was on sale.
My beanie's right here. The air turned off.
Are you going through menopause?
No, well, no, it goes from wow.
I'm joking.
I bought that. I told you I bought that shirt. Was going to buy it a while ago. but they did not have them in. So it was beneficial that I did not get it. Because
Correct.
then it was on sale
Correct.
when they did have it.
Who was the fourth person who passed away? School shooting
Computers acting.
victim dies. Really? Fourth victim. Who is this? Jason Schilling. Oh my God. 17. Died around 10:45 a.m. yesterday. I did not know that.
All right, here we go.
I want to thank the people on the stream and friends who texted me and said a fourth person died yesterday at the hospital in that Michigan school shooting. A 17-year-old Justin Schilling died around 10:45 yesterday morning at McLaren Oakland Hospital in Pontiac. It's a hard thing to even think about. I mean, it's my thoughts and prayers is just so empty. You know, what can you say to say? You almost can say nothing. All you can do is look at somebody who is suffering and just say it with your face. You know, I
Ultimately, just sit there. If you're around them, just sit there.
phew.
Show up.
You know, and it's so unfortunate. It's these moments that cut through so much of the garbage that we're distracted by. But the distractions, unfortunately, are purposeful derailments for us as we fight back against the fundamental transformation of where this country is going. And I'm not down with where they want this country to go. And if you're a leftist and you used to be a friend of mine or somebody who thought they liked me and you don't anymore, I don't care. I don't care. I know exactly how I feel. And I know how I feel about this country and the people in it. And it's more important to me to be true to that than to give a fat rip what you think about me. Intriguing to dismantle the garbage that we are told every day from this administration and the liar in chief who is Jen Psaki. Her vitriol and hatred is so obvious. The thing about leftists is they're lousy liars. Lousy. You can see it all over their face. You can see it in their body language. If you watched Fauci and some of his lies to Congress, you could hear it in his voice. His voice is shaking, his hands shaking. I will tell you, when you're on the right side of justice, when you have done nothing wrong, when your heart is pure, you don't mind having a robust and active conversation, putting you on the hot seat. You say, bring it. I can't wait to see your evidence. I can't wait to hear your testimony because you're going down in flames. Let's go. It is the liars. It is the cheaters who run and hide and look around as they lie and spin weaves of BS. You know what I mean? All right. So yesterday, I love Peter Doocy. Joe loves him. You love him.
I have what I would call news crush on him.
That's okay. I think it's safe as long as you come out and you admit
I'm man
that
enough to
this
admit
is a part of your fiber, that you have a little media love crush for Peter Doocy. I get you. And who wouldn't? He's the only person who's actually asking questions that are putting the Biden administration on blast, if you will. So here's Jen Psaki trying to backpedal. Wait a minute. You and your boss said repeatedly that you were going to stop the virus. I'm going to take down the virus, blah, blah, blah. Well, what about that? Let's hear Ducey holding her feet to the fire as she stammers and yammers.
Whatever happened to President Biden's promise to shut down the virus?
We're working on it, Peter.
We're working on it, Peter. We're working on it. Just like, Donald Trump was working on it, but we decided to vilify him. And that promise that Biden made so many times on the campaign trail, well, we played it yesterday. I think it's worthwhile because this is, Joe Biden made a promise to the people of America. Let's hear it again.
How would you lead the country out of this crisis? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
220,000 Americans dead. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying.
You can continue it. That's not the one I wanted. I might have put the wrong one in there. I beg your pardon. This is the mashup of him saying he's going to shut down the virus. I beg your pardon. I probably wasn't clear about that, Brock. Let's try it again.
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. I'm not going to shut down the country. I'm going to shut down the virus. I'm going to shut down the virus. I'm going to shut down the virus. I'll shut down the virus, not the economy. Well, I'm going to shut down the virus. Once we shut down the virus, I'm going to shut down the virus. I'm going to shut down the virus. I'm not going to shut down the country, but I'm going to shut down the virus.
Well, he's going to shut down the virus. He hasn't shut down the virus. We've lost 360,000+ Americans under his watch because of the virus. Jen Psaki thinks, well, we're working on it, Peter. We're working on it. Well, Peter Ducey continues, and he's going to talk to Dr. Fauci now because, of course, the Jen and Tony show, tag team of stammering, is going to continue here. He's talking about these new rules restricting travelers from coming here without certain requirements. But wait a minute, what about the southern border crossers? Is everybody coming into America going to be set up against these strict new rules? And here's that question now.
Dr. Fauci, as you advise the president about the possibility of new testing requirements for people coming into this country, does that include everybody?
The answer is yes, because you know that the new regulation, if you want to call it that, is that anybody and everybody who's coming into the country needs to get a test within 24 hours of getting on the plane to come here.
But what about people who don't take a plane and just these border crossers coming in huge numbers?
But that's a different issue. For example, when you talk, we still have Title 42 with regard to protection at the border. So there are protections at the border that you don't have the capability, as you know, of somebody getting on a plane, getting checked, looking at a passport. We don't have that there, but we can get some degree of mitigation.
Is there something to
Title 42. How many of you know about Title 42? It was something that Donald Trump used basically to keep people from just marching across the border willy-nilly and whatnot. On March 20th, 2020, the Department of Health and Human Services issued an emergency regulation to implement a specific aspect of U.S. health law. Section 265 of U.S. Code Title 42 permits the director of the CDC to prohibit the introduction into the United States of individuals when the director believes that there is serious danger of the introduction of a communicable disease into the United States. The rule allows any customs officials, which includes officers of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, such as Border Patrol agents, to implement any such order issued by the CDC. So that means that they're turning people away, right? If I'm reading this correctly, Title 42 means that border control agents and others are able to, because of COVID, stop people from coming across the border. So when you go and you try to search for how many people has the Biden administration stopped using Title 42 and sending back to their countries, how many have they done? Can't find it. Ladies and gentlemen, crickets. Does not exist. So Peter Ducey is absolutely right. Well, if you're going to make all these restrictions for international travelers and Americans coming back from abroad, into the United States to test, to quarantine, to X, Y, or Z. What about these folks marching across from Honduras, from Guatemala, from Mexico, from Haiti? What about all of them? Well, we have Title 42 for that. We're not going to tell you if we've actually done anything in that regard, but we have that. So that gives me, that gives me an out here. Does it really? Speaking of this variant, my friends, Omicron. Nobody seems to be able to pronounce this letter of the Greek alphabet. Omicron. Dr. Angelique Coetzee is the general practitioner in South Africa who unknowingly, by simply being honest, ignited a fireball of panic. Whoa! She wrote an op-ed here, ladies and gentlemen. I have it. I think I'll probably read it to you in just a minute. Because she, in very clear language, says, I am absolutely flabbergasted that me finding a singular male patient, who, by the way, wasn't all that sick, and we have not seen a single hospitalization because of Omicron. It is baffling to me, the panicked response across planet Earth, which leads me to believe something a little weird is afoot here. It's not about safety. It's not about wellness. It's not about the virus. Fauci had a really hard time yesterday when pressed about this travel ban. Can you explain, Dr. Fauci, what's the rationale? What's the rationale of the administration? Let's listen to this very clear answer.
What justify imposing a travel ban on countries that have zero case of the Omicron variant?
That's a very good question, an important question, and we did struggle with that, but we wanted to see if we could bide time temporarily. So I do hope that this gets sorted out and lifted before it has any significant impact on your country.
Go ahead. I want to further underscore what's going on here. They have no idea what in the hell they're doing, but everything they're doing is meant to stoke fear, to get people all freaked out again, for their clone trooper chip activated weaklings to be like, oh my gosh, time to go back inside. Are you out of your mind? So wait, we know that it's not a bad variant. We know that people aren't being hospitalized. We know that people aren't dying. We know by and large, the vaccine has not saved one single life. Has it prevented anybody from contracting COVID? I don't know. Do you know? Does it stop anybody from spreading it? I don't know. They can't prove it. They can't say that. Has it stopped a singular death? Again, who knows? But we think it's prudent to prevent anybody from coming to this country. And that's our strategy. That's me saying that this is what we need to do. We're going to get ahead of it. Does anybody else smell BS? Because I smell it. And COVID earlier this year knocked out my taste and smell. I can smell it. So today we're waiting. I'm on pins and needles because later today we know that Joe Biden is going to be meeting with somebody. Is it the World Health Organization, the CDC? I don't know, but he's going to be meeting and they're going to be talking about Omicron. And we're hoping that we're not going to have to shut things down. And we're hoping that it's not going to come to that. But if everybody would just get vaccinated, this would go away. That's the solution. Isn't that interesting? It's sort of like the surgeon who tells you because of your bulging herniated or degenerative discs that the only answer you have is surgery. That's it. You got no other choice. You need to go under the knife. I don't know about you guys, but I like options and I like doctors who give them to me. And the option is the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, and the doctor who gives that to you is Dr. Richard Rafferty. His staff at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh does something that is non-surgical. It is therapy that heals the disc. It heals your body. It doesn't cut out part of your body. It naturally lets it heal. It's revolutionary. It's called intradisc neutrosis. It's 98% successful. I love those odds. 98%. Are you kidding me? What in your life can you bank on 98% of the time besides Dr. Richard Rafferty and the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh? Call now. Make your initial consultation. See if he can help you. It won't cost you a thing to find out. 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Why is Fauci's inability to explain how a travel ban is meaningful right now when we know that nobody's really having a bad go with Omicron? Why is that so offensive? Well, you're going to hear it from the doctor herself from South Africa, who says, what on God's green earth are we allowing these bureaucrats to do? I'll read it to you. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. So now that we have our friend Bruce back on, how would you like to handle Matt and Lauren?
Wish you would have told me that before. That was my fault.
No, I mean, I could have told you about it before. Do you want me to do it coming out of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the person who asked if I'm INF, I don't know what INF stands for, so.
In what regard?
I don't know. He says, Brock, are you INF? I don't know what INF stands for.
Interesting, but not funny.
Where's the B?
Interesting, not funny.
Oh.
Thank you. I sold it better that second way. Today's going fast. Is it going fast for you or no? I love your shirt or your sweatshirt. I like the Brock blue, and it does match your eyes. At least you got one thing going for you, my man.
Wow. I was going to say, you said 98%. What can you count on for 98%? I thought you were going to say me.
No. So now, are these designed to have them be on either side of your head?
Yeah, like I asked mine to be. You can have it designed any way you.
Because I would want that in the front, and I would want this right on the back side of it. So if you were
That's
looking
how
at
yours is set up. Now, see, I wanted
is
mine
it
to be on
no?
the
Because
side.
it's a little skewed.
No, it's not.
Really?
Oh, maybe he did it that way. I don't know. Mine's on the USA on one side.
It's all stitched into it. Yeah. Oh, I have a little bit more space than you do.
Yeah. It's warm. That's all I care about.
I think it's outstanding, and it's a nice soft fabric. I will say this about Jason: his ability to get high quality stuff is impressive. Yes. I've really been great. I've been so grateful with that. All right, so we will do a little battlegrounds action on the way out of here. I love talking about my friends, the Krupps. You're going to die when you see the crawlers part of this. The remote control section he built. There's a Jeep driving through the wall. Literally, there's a front of a Jeep that's coming through the wall. And then it's all these rocks and everything and boats. And and then you have to get it on like this elevator thing and connect it and it goes up. I mean, it's so amazing.
All right,
it's so cool. I'm talking.
Right out of this.
Well, the holidays are gearing up at the Battlegrounds and at Show Me Your Hobbies. It's a 2-in-1 mind-blowing experience all under one roof. This is a hobby shop loaded with latest RC cars, trucks, boats, crawlers, and more. You can get a gift card, perhaps for the airsoft or RC enthusiast in your life, maybe even yourself. And if you want even more excitement, the Battlegrounds is ready to host your private birthday party, your corporate holiday party, or any other celebration. From Nerf and airsoft to bow tag and rivals. The activities are endless at the Battlegrounds. And don't forget, their holiday season, their hours are extended for more open play sessions, but you got to register on their website, thebattlegroundspa.com. Give them a call, 412-530-2192 for more information. Place is outstanding. Remember, don't just play the game, be the game at the Battlegrounds. All right, so I want to read this to you. Commentary by Dr. Angelique Coetzee. She's chair of the South African Medical Association. She writes this. It is important because this is not what we're getting from Dr. Doom. As chair of the South African Medical Association and a general practitioner of 33 years standing, I've seen a lot over my medical career, but nothing has prepared me for the extraordinary global reaction that met my announcement this week that I had seen a young man in my surgery who had a case of COVID that turned out to be the Omicron variant. This version of the variant has been circulating in Southern Africa for some time, having been previously identified in Botswana. But given my public-facing role by announcing its presence in my own patient, I unwittingly brought it to global attention. Quite simply, I have been stunned at the response, and especially from Britain. Let me be clear, nothing I have seen about this new variant warrants the extreme action the UK government has taken in response to it. No one here in South Africa is known to have been hospitalized with the Omicron variant, nor is anyone here believed to have fallen seriously ill with it. Yet Britain and other European nations have reacted with heavy travel restrictions on flights from across Southern Africa, as well as imposing tighter rules at home on mask wearing, fines, and extended quarantines. The simple truth is we don't yet know anywhere near enough about Omicron to make such judgments or to impose such policies. In South Africa, we've retained a sense of perspective. We've had no new regulations or talk of lockdowns because we're waiting to see what the variant actually means. We've also become accustomed here to new COVID variants emerging. So when our scientists confirmed the discovery of yet another, nobody made a huge thing of it. Many people didn't even notice. But after Britain heard about it, the global picture started to change. Even as our scientists tried to point out the huge gaps in the world's knowledge about this variant, European nations immediately and unilaterally banned travel from this part of the world. Our government was understandably angered by this, pointing out that excellent science should be applauded, not punished. If, as some evidence suggests, Omicron turns out to be a fast spreading virus with mostly mild symptoms for the majority of the people who catch it, that would be a useful step on the road to herd immunity. We'll learn in the next 2 weeks if that's the case. The worst situation, of course, would be a fast-spreading virus with severe infections. But that's not where we are at this moment. Here in South Africa, what I and my general practitioner colleagues are seeing doesn't in any way warrant the knee-jerk reaction we've seen from the UK. For one thing, we are not, at least for now, treating patients who are severely ill. Take my first Omicron case, the young man I mentioned earlier. It didn't occur to him that he had COVID. He thought he'd had too much sun after working outside. After he tested positive, so did his wife and 4-month-old baby. So far, the patients who've tested positive for Omicron here have been mainly young men, a mixture of vaccinated and unvaccinated, though in our statistics, unvaccinated can also mean single vaccinated. Only yesterday, I saw 5 more patients who had tested positive for the new variant. They all had very mild illness. So at this moment, I'm afraid it seems to me that Britain is merely hyping up the alarm about this variant unnecessarily. Yes, the picture might one day look different. I have yet to see older, unvaccinated people infected with the new variant, for example, and they might well present with a more severe form of the disease. But the reality is that COVID is something we have to learn to live with. Look after yourself and get your vaccines. Above all, don't panic, and that goes for governments as well. One more time, Dr. Coetzee. Angelique Coetzee, the chair of South African Medical Association. How about some sanity in an insane world? Pay close attention to what Joe Biden tries to do today. Follow carefully the science that Dr. Doom wraps himself in. He is science, after all. And then take notice of what Congressman Jim Jordan from Ohio had to say about all this yesterday. When we come back, I've got some very interesting sound as yet another one of the street fighters emerges yet again, willing to stand up and speak the truth about people who are trying to do things that are decidedly un-American. I'll have his sound. It is worth sticking around for, I guarantee it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Freddie, I don't know what you mean by am I buying infantry stuff. If you're talking about Wendy's shirt, I bought it because it's fitting.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I am a mom. I'm going to go pate. Did you guys need to know that?
I didn't. Do we need the
Cheerio.
English accent? Thank you, Governor. And for the people who ask for the email for Jason for the merch, there it is. Tammy, I like the grunt style too. They have some good stuff on there. Bummy. I've never had Laurel Highlands Brewing. I don't know. I'm assuming it's in the Laurel Highlands. I've not had it. When is the vet thing going to start? I have to call him this week, this weekend, and see when he's able to start with it. Hopefully we can maybe do it next Saturday, and then start doing them. Ultimately, it's going to be on the app, so maybe the first couple will be on the Wendy Bell Radio Facebook page.
You know who I would love to get on this show, and I don't know how to contact him? Tom McDonald. He's the rapper guy.
I've reached out multiple times.
I know. I love him. He's the ultimate, like, what you think he is and what he ends up being are two totally different things.
Right. It's the whole don't judge a book by its cover.
Right. He's got like
all tats,
bejeweled teeth and tats all over his face and dreadlocks and muscles, and just looks like he's kind of gonna kick your butt. And then
he'd cross the street if it was at night.
Right. I'd be like, yo, I don't remember. And yet he's got these really insightful, conservative, just human values. And his lyrics are thoughtful. And you're like, what? I love him. Love is a strong word. I have strong liking for him.
Yeah, we don't want to get Joe upset.
I have an affinity for him. I don't think Joe has a lot to worry about.
Yeah.
I'd give him a big hug, though, Tom McDonald. I'd give him a big squeeze.
What if he didn't want to?
Well, I mean, I'm a mom. He doesn't have a choice. I'd be like, come here, Sonny. You know he's like 20 years younger than I am, right?
I don't know.
We were just out with Jason the other day. We went out for a couple beers and lunch and whatnot after the show. And Jason and two of the young ladies who've been helping with all of our merchandise orders, we have sold, more than 3,000 individual pieces of clothing. I mean, it's truly amazing. And they've been trying so hard to deal with the supply chain and shipping and get it all out. So we said, please come meet and have a drink with us, etc. So they did, and we had a great time. And then we're talking, and I could be their mothers. I was very upset about that when I found out they were in their 30s. And I was like, wow. And you even pointed it out. Wow, you could be their mom. I almost kicked you.
I was invited, actually.
Amazing.
They were talking about it in front of me. That's
Sometime you own your age and you say, dang right, I could be your mom, and I'd be a really good looking one too. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. That's right. Our inner so stupid. All right. Well, I've got some Pfizer stuff to drop on you too today that I haven't shared with you. Interesting stuff.
really.
Yeah.
I think I read it.
No, I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Wow.
What do you know about it?
I'm not going to bring it up, but
Well, go ahead. Let's see
No.
if we're on the same page, mister. I think I already read it. This is the same man who says if I just didn't show up for work one day, he could do the show with his eyes closed.
that's not what. No, see, that's fake news.
Well, you'd have to see your
I'd
buttons.
have to leave my eyes open, so I would have to do both our jobs.
No.
Wow, Wendy, remember you could be their mom, but you're not, so it's fair game. I don't know what they mean by that.
I don't know. But you're right. I'm not.
Hey, Wendy, it's better than saying you could be their grandma.
Wow. You know, I was just thinking about that. I have classmates from high school who are grandparents. A lot of people are grandparents when they're 51. I told my sons, I'm like, not me. I'm not ready.
Wow. And that's how it goes.
It's really all about me. You
Right.
forget if you love somebody or are deeply committed and married. It just doesn't matter.
Correct.
It's all about me. I don't want to be a grandmother yet.
Yeah. It's all about Wendy Bell.
Well, I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, hey, you know.
Duh. I'm not following the Yale case, you lying sack of potatoes.
All right, here we go.
I'm complaining.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Third busy broadcasting hour. Man, you guys let this day go so fast. I love it. So, if we're going to go back and kind of connect the dots to the opening monologue, we're going to identify what's actually going on in this country as a group of people, ne'er-do-wells with malicious intent, are trying to unravel the beautiful tapestry of what's been created for the last 250 plus years. And they want to create something that's fundamentally un-American. And we, the people, say, suck it. Not on my watch. Ain't gonna happen. Today's not your day. Tomorrow's not looking good either. I want to play for you as I talk about this thing. You were born, you were made for this moment, for this fight, for this slice of American history that not only are you watching unfold, you are participating in your deliberate daily pushback, whatever that looks like for you. We just got an email this morning from a woman who said something so dear. She was thanking Brock and me for this program, feeling sometimes as though she's on an island, that she's the only one who thinks and feels the way she does, that today she's lost her job, and whatever it is that she does, there's some kind of equipment at her house that goes tandem with her job. And so someone from the parent company is going to be coming to her house because she has failed to acquiesce to an unconstitutional, illegal forcing of the magic elixir. This person is coming to take the machinery or whatever the equipment is back to the home office and bid this lady adieu. And she wrote us, thankful that she'd be able to put on her Wendy Bell Radio, basically FU46 sweatshirt, to say fungu and adios. I do not need you. If that is your stand, so be it. And more power to you. You do what's right for you. But there is no denying that there is a lack of reality in the trigger unhinged left. And you need look no further than Arizona State University. We have been following the case of Kyle Rittenhouse. One would think that the case has now been put to bed. It's been adjudicated. He was found not guilty. If only the young man could proceed with his life. But no, we couldn't do that, right? The triggered left can never let that go. Justice didn't turn out the way they wanted, so then, of course, the system must be rigged. The judge must be a racist. He must be a Republican. He's probably carrying a gun under his robe, what have you. Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderous white whatever. So we hear. So in his interview, Kyle Rittenhouse with Tucker Carlson reveals to us that he wants to be a nurse. Had wanted to be a nurse. Now he's thinking about maybe getting into law, maybe being a public defender or something so he can represent people who find themselves in situations that aren't as fortunate as he to have received the notoriety, the donations, the pledges, the legal help. Maybe Kyle can move it forward, pay it forward, and be that legal voice for someone not as fortunate. That is his takeaway after what he's been through. What can he do? And in that interview, he made mention of the fact that he was he was either going to be or was at that time an online student at Arizona State University. And what did the woke triggered crybaby left at ASU, the socialists? The socialist student, that there is a club in the United States of America on a freaking college campus today of socialists is a problem. That there's a weakling provost or chancellor or president who doesn't have the stones, the huevos to stand up and be like, yo, if you want to do that, there's a great school in Venezuela. Why don't you guys all go there? Because this is the United States and we're not down with socialism. That would involve backbone, which people don't have. I want you to hear, this was the come join us for the socialist students of ASU rally as we get together to call white murderous supremacist Kyle Rittenhouse and demand that our school not let him on campus. He hadn't been on campus, first of all. Listen to this malignant ne'er-do-well triggered leftist socialist.
We want to say Kyle Rittenhouse is not just any random killer. He's a white supremacist killer. He is a vigilante. He's a descendant of white Americans who killed black and brown people. And those white supremacists back in the day were also acquitted of all charges if we have read history. Kyle Rittenhouse didn't get a guilty verdict because he was white.
Well, first of all, she's got quite a few of her factoids wrong. And if ASU doesn't snuff this crap out ASAP, they've got one hell of a lawsuit. I hope Kyle's attorneys just have their pagers. Here, this is what they have. They have a notebook, and they're like, all right, what was that girl's name? Okay. And Arizona State University, okay, then that's that. And Whoopi Goldberg, okay, right. And Joy Behar, yeah, right. Joy Reid, right? That obnoxious guy who looks like Don King, who's on her. Okay, that guy. Oh, wait, hold on. You're getting ahead of me. LeBron James. Who else? Joe Biden, let's not forget him. Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo. Oh, yes, sure. Yes. And everybody else who sucks. Okay, good. So now we've got our list of people we're going to sue the almighty liver out of. Okay, cool. So that was a triggered leftist saying that white supremacist murderer Kyle Rittenhouse killed black people. Sadly, Arizona State University is not really big in teaching facts because she had it all wrong. But don't let the facts get in the way of your ability to hog a mic and be on a stage and act like you matter and have relevance. There is some solace in this sordid tale of young co-eds being maleducated or just stupid. And it would be the opposing side of this, because that opposing side is ticked off and they're tired. They are the proverbial Ralphie from the Christmas Story movie who just had the bully throw the snowball in his glasses and he's now snapped. Every bullying moment is coming to fruition, is percolating in his fingertips at that moment as he clenches his fist and he's ready to go absolutely ape nuts on the bully and beat him to an everlasting pulp. So here is that smaller side of a moment when some people in the crowd show their colors that they're not down with the socialist students of ASU. Go. Let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon! I wonder if they have a multicultural center with like llamas that they can pet, right? Maybe some Twinkies and some coloring books where they can go and hang out and not be, triggered anymore. There is a small slice of joy in that double mix there, isn't there? You've got the freaky, I've got no facts, but I'm going to tell you I'm white people. Only reason he got off is white. Not because he was defending himself and there's this thing called law, right? Don't let that get in the way of you being triggered.
I did have to cut a portion of that.
Was it foul?
At the beginning, the guy with the bullhorn was telling them to shut the...
The guy with the bullhorn who's not a Let's Go Brandon or who was a Let's Go Brandon?
That wasn't a Let's Go Brandon.
Oh, so wait a minute. You're saying that very refined, we care for everybody, we need to bring humanity together. We're for, love and joy and peace, like Dale Ho, when he was at his church spewing the gospel of love and inclusion. Oh, that's right. No, he wasn't. He was talking about how he hates conservatives. Oh, thank God he won't be on the bench. Right? Was it that group that had the bullhorn dropping the F-bomb? Because that's just so commonplace anymore. Oh, F-D-F-F-F. What leaders? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the future of our country. Right there. Look, I do believe we're seeing more and more of this. People more brazenly standing up. Not that worried about the breadth and size of their circles. They're beginning to see the more they stand up and say, you know what, unbeknownst to you, I'm not down with your values because you're bad crap crazy. And I love America and I'm going to fight for America. If you lose some friends, if you lose some relationships, hell, if you lose some family members because they fundamentally are down with something that's wrong, okay, I have too. I get it. But wouldn't you rather be on the right side of where you're comfortable, where you live? You'd rather die in peace than live in paralyzing fear? I agree. I feel much the same way. If you were a business owner having some trouble finding the right IT team that takes your website and your business as seriously as you do, I want to tell you for a minute about my friends at Sierra Experts. They pride themselves on delivering services in a practical way by continuously being there for you. 100% proactive. You don't have to hunt and peck to find Sierra Experts if things go sideways on your site. They know about it before you do, and their team of experts is busy fixing it before you even know what happened. This is a business started in Pennsylvania by a veteran, but they do these assessments of business websites all across America. You think you can't fit into their expense layout, they'll work within your budget and they'll do something amazing for you. They'll give you the peace of mind that your outward extension of your business, your website, functions the way it should. You need smart people on your team, smart people who know all about information technology, a managed service provider that gets behind their work. And that is Sierra Experts. Call them today. 412-722-0707. 412-722-0707. Check out their services and testimonials at sierraexperts.com. All right, when we come back, I promise Jim Jordan. I'm going to deliver Jim Jordan. He's going to make you smile. He's a warrior. He's the street fighter you want on your team. And we've got him coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. That ASU thing is just how many students are that just misinformed?
I mean, she was misinformed about everything.
All of it. He got off because he's white. He got off because of this. What?
No. He got off because he used self-defense.
Can you imagine living your life through the lens of perpetual racism? Or color? That all you saw in somebody who was talking to you was color?
Do you remember being that angry
No.
at that age? I don't remember being that angry now. Let alone at that age. I mean, geez.
There's a lot of
you
trying
gotta
to
wake up angry to be that angry.
Yes. Well, and you have to be taught how to be that angry too. Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's true. Hate is taught. They told us that.
Can you imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. was alive? He would be so ticked off. Look at what he would be a Republican. You know?
I grew up in Zillinoble, PA, north of Pittsburgh.
Somebody's asking you.
Yes. I did not grow up in Calabasas, California, with the Menendez brothers and Ricky Schroeder.
I will just tell you that you can say that all you want. You can live in Beverly Hills and not live in Beverly Hills. I will just tell you that. I remember playing basketball against Beverly Hills High School, and that it's tough because their gym.
Was that 90210?
Yes, their gym floor is over their pool. And so they hit a button and the floor goes away and then you swim.
Right. It's almost like It's a Wonderful Life.
I don't know.
We're gonna have to have a movie day.
A movie night.
Yeah.
Wendy Bell.
Wonderful Life.
Rocky IV. Shut up. I'll watch your stupid movie, okay? I'll watch it. All right? You hear about it one more time, I'm going to throw you down the steps.
That person emailed me back.
Yeah.
And said they can if you want.
Let's do it.
11:30?
Yeah, right on. Right on, right on. I freely admit that the sound that I snagged this morning, that I asked Brock to snag actually, is of Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan speaking to an assistant law professor at George Mason University named Jennifer Mascott. Why they happen to be having this conversation, I don't know. We searched, could not find out why. No idea, which means no media picked up on it. But I want you to hear what Jim Jordan asks and says of this assistant law professor, because he is a street fighter. And what he's talking about is very illustrative of the struggle we're in today. He nails it. We're going to go through quickly the things that he said, because I want to get to a live guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. This is Jim Jordan talking about Dr. Doom, and it makes total sense. Go.
Professor Mascott, when was Dr. Fauci elected to office?
At no time.
Has he ever been elected to anything?
I have not. He's not, certainly not in the current role.
Is he a member of Congress?
No.
Now, Dr. Fauci's a smart guy. In fact, if you don't believe me, just ask him. He said Sunday on a TV show that, quote, I represent science. So I'm not saying he's not a smart individual, but who does Dr. Fauci answer to?
Well, I mean, well, at this point, I mean, presumably indirectly to the president. But I take your point.
Well, I don't even think, Professor, with all due respect, I don't even think he answers to the president, because President Biden says we follow the science, and Dr. Fauci has basically said, I am science. I'm almost like God speaking.
It is perfect. Think about how dangerous it is that this one megalomaniac believes, Dr. Fauci believes, that he is above everybody else. Jim Jordan continues, though, and he's talking about the elected bureaucrats believing that they supersede Congress, though. Listen to this.
So this is what scares me, is the fact that it's people who've never put their name on a ballot, never went out and talked to we the people, who are making the decisions. And frankly, the Democrats' witness likes it that way. Let me just read from Mr. Michaels, Professor Michaels' testimony this morning. Just one sentence. We need an agile regulatory system to address the climate crisis, COVID-19 variants, environmental injustice, massive income, wealth inequality, affordable housing shortage, antibiotic resistance organism, the opioid overdose epidemic, and threats to the financial stability posed by cryptocurrency. We don't need a Congress. We don't need a Congress. We got this regulatory system that the Democrat witness thinks we need. So forget like putting your name on a ballot, going actually out and talking to the people and get elected to office and being in the United States Congress. We don't need it, according to Mr. Michaels. So isn't that your concern?
Yeah, I think you're putting your finger on a very poignant example in current practice where we have a significant problem facing the country, obviously the pandemic. And there's a very broad statute, the quarantine statute from the 1940s, that had not been carried out anywhere close to the way it has been applied.
Okay, so I misspoke. Not elected bureaucrats, but just people who believe that they are smarter than everybody else. They know better than everybody else. They're an expert, and they're able to do things without Congress weighing in on it. Stop trying to do that. It's not American. We are fighting back. Number 3. Passing wild liberal laws without going through Congress. Listen to this.
Mr. Michaels doesn't want to limit it to that. He talks about affordable housing. He's talking about cryptocurrency. He's talking about environmental injustice. I mean, he's talking about all kinds of things that he thinks the regulatory state needs to be able to agilely, or in some kind of fashion, be able to deal with. So yes. It's not just quarantine issues.
Well, of course, and I think the reason what you're pointing to, right, is the breadth of the law and how it's being interpreted. And if we defer to the executive branch's interpretation, that housing and cryptocurrency and whatever else falls within.
But that's sort of how it works, isn't it? Isn't? I mean, there's always some exceptions, and there's some give and take in the comment period of these. But the agency proposes a rule, then they enforce the rule, and then if there's a dispute, they have an Article 1 judge, executive branch judge, adjudicate. So. Again, and they want more of that. They want them to do that for everything. So why do we need a Congress?
Right. The concentration of power, I think, in single entities is one of the greatest problems facing our system of government.
No kidding.
Boom. And finally, bureaucrats being the biggest threat to liberty. This is brilliant.
The people who make decisions and impact small business owners, Americans, I mean, just every single day, the regulatory state, the bureaucratic state runs this country, and it is a huge problem. It's the biggest threat to liberty I think we see. And I haven't seen the bill that the chairman is introducing, but my gut tells me it probably moves in the direction that their witnesses want it to go, which is more power to the bureaucratic state.
Essentially, what are we doing? How many people need to get drunk off of the chalice of power? Whatever happened to we the people? Excuse me, Brock, hopping real fast.
I think he laid it out perfect with people, Fauci, all of them that just make no. I didn't vote for you, so if I can't talk to you, why should you have any power over the laws?
There you go. I think what we have is we have a gross overreach of a lot of people's power. And we have people who want the power back. We, the people, are the ones who decide what happens in this country. We, the people. Us. They've forgotten that. We've got a few fighters out there. We've got the Ted Cruzes. We've got the Ron DeSantises. We have the Jim Jordans. We just need more. And we need them now. I think the number's up to 19 Democrats now skipping out of re-election. Oh, what a bummer. All right, interesting phone conversation and live interview on the flip side of this on the Wendy Bell radio program. Don't miss it. So frustrating. Sorry, guys. Hi. What's her name?
She signed an A to me, so I'm gonna have to ask her.
So you don't know if it's a go yet?
I emailed her. She said she can. She emailed me back, and I told her 11:30. She asked for the number, so.
We got Brock and I got an email this morning from a woman in Michigan. And I think it was worthwhile. There's no way to print out that email, is there? Because that'd be a good opening for her. This is the pits. When you talk for a living and you get like that dry tickle on your tonsil and you're like, oh, shizzle, I'm going to go down with the boat. I felt it. So I beg your pardon. I'm not trying to cough all over you guys. Jim Jordan's absolutely right. I don't know what they're talking about, but whatever there is, somebody's trying to propose something that is completely ridiculous. Another power grab. And it's going to end up costing us money. I just don't understand why they don't understand why we get so angry.
Don't forget Bad Joke Friday.
Tomorrow, Bad Joke. Oh, she's on the line. That's outstanding.
Wendy Bell Radio. Oh, can we use your name, Adrian?
Oh, Adrian.
That's hold on.
I'll come in and get it if you can.
this lady that we're going to be talking to, you can use her first name, which is Adrian, lives by where the school shooting was, and I guess her kid's school was closed. And sometimes it's nice. It's like the lady that called from Loudoun County.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't really think that I don't know what I can add, but just being there,
Right, you
being
can.
right there,
You
you
can tell
add
us
just by saying, "Hey,
what's the
this is what's
vibe?
going on,"
What's
right?
what's the feel? What do you, you've got a kid in school there. What's this like?
How do you feel as a parent?
We feel unsafe. I can tell you that much. A student at Temple University coming back from Thanksgiving break, shot and killed. I mean, this is scary as nuts.
Debbie, you can go to the app, the Wendy Bell Radio Network app. It's in both app stores, or you can go to wendybellradio.com.
What's she asking about?
She's asking about merchandise.
Ah. I love it. I love my new shirt. I'm not a big black shirt wearer because it's not a good color for me because I'm fabulous. But
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, girls have colors. Duh. Mine's pink, red, green, orange. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You should shop a little more savvily.
I know what I'm getting you next.
Nothing. Wow. I didn't see that coming.
No, it'll be beer.
How can you go wrong?
Right. Well, it's one of those gifts that gives back.
I'm a simple person.
I get.
He's going to come
beer.
over with Rocky IV and a 6-pack, and we'll sit down and watch a movie. And
Yes.
Murphy can jump all over you for a while.
He loves me at least.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't criticize me when I come either.
Does he ask you to take his shoes off? Because he should.
I'd ignore him anyways.
Nasty shoe wearer. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program, ladies and gentlemen. We got an email this morning, and I think it speaks volumes about where so many of us are in our hearts and in our minds as we watch this crazy, lunatic movement to defund the police, to put fewer law enforcement officials on the street, to give a blank check, a free pass to people who break the law, to give parameters on how much you can steal before you're arrested. They know that they're not going to be prosecuted. They know that there's not enough police on the street. It's by design. And then what do we have? We've got trickle down effect and ripple effects as people all across America are feeling the squeeze of an out of control government. Bureaucrats who think that they can decide what we do and how we do it. And then we have events like we saw with school shootings, with Waukesha. When you hear it from a mom who lives close to that danger zone, it's a different story. It's human, it's real, it's not something you see on the news. When it's your Tree of Life synagogue, or it's your neighborhood, it is different. And I want to thank Adrian for reaching out to Brock and me this morning. Adrian, tell everybody where you live, if you don't mind, and thank you very much for your kind email this morning. It's great to hear your voice.
Hi, yeah, thanks for taking the call. I'm in a neighboring district from Oxford High School, about 20 miles away, and my boys are not in school today because of the threats all over social media. I think last I checked, there were about 20 neighboring school districts that have all closed down today. But my feeling is it doesn't really matter if I'm 20 miles away or I'm, across the country, because this threat really is everywhere in our country right now, for our kids. It does hit very close to home when it's it's right in my backyard. It does, but I don't know what the answers are. I do know that we do need our police, and I think the last thing that this country needs right now is any kind of defunding of our law enforcement. I want to give a shout out to Oakland County Sheriff's Department for their handling the situation on Tuesday. They had the shooter apprehended within 5 minutes. So I do want to give a shout out to them, but I don't have the answers for what this is. I do know that this is what keeps me up. This is what is threatening my kids going to school, and not COVID virus.
Well, right, and you say this in your.
They're scared to go to school.
You said this in the email to us today. We're closed. School's closed, not because of a COVID outbreak or a snow day or a teacher substitute shortage or a lack of drivers for buses, because of the threat of more mass shootings in the halls of our buildings. So tell everybody, what was it like when you were? How quickly did you know about this situation, just 20 miles from where your sons are educated, Adrienne?
Oh, well, I knew about it before the news even broke on me, because I have a lot of family from the Oxford area. My mom actually went to Oxford High School. So the community was, the sirens were just going off all day. So I knew about it pretty quickly after it happened. So, it's there's still two of the shooting victims are still in the hospital in critical condition. So we don't know. Praying that they have a good outcome here, but
do you know anything about this young man who's accused?
I don't know anything other than he's a 15-year-old male student, and he, I guess, did have some contact. His parents did unfortunately have contact with the school administration the day before and the morning of, and I don't know. The Oakland County prosecutor is not releasing that information right now, but he did say that there's more evidence and whatever kind of, altercation they had with the student before the shootings happened. And then I guess he was allowed to go back to class, and then, this happened 3 hours later. So,
tell me about your boys. How old are they, and what are they saying to you?
So I have a 14-year-old, I have a 17-year-old, and then I have an 18-year-old at Michigan State. And the boys are just, they want to be in school. They've lost so much school over the past, year and a half. But this is what they're threatened by. This is what they're worried about. I mean, they knew about these social media threats before any of us parents. They're the ones that brought to our attention, and then we of course called, police last night, and the school's closed. My son's high school closed last night before it was even announced that the rest of these districts were closed. But they're all over this. They're the ones that are informing us of the threats, and it's scary to me that all of these districts are closed and our kids are not in school right now, because you have to take it seriously. You don't know.
And they say that they're finding the threats on social media. They shared those with you?
They are, yeah. My 14-year-old son came to me and said that, here's what they're saying, Mom. It's hit week. And they had, Monday was supposed to be the school. Tuesday was the school. Wednesday was the school. Today was my son's school. And that's why, these schools are closing down. Yesterday, another neighboring closed down because they were supposed to be the one on the supposed hit list. And it's very scary to me because, Oxford High School was on that list, and it's you just don't know. You hope to think it's just one student that needs obvious help, and it's not a bigger threat, but you don't know. You have to take it seriously, and I don't know. I know that everyone is scared to death to go to school right now, and it's sad.
I'm going to ask you a question that there's no earthly way I expect you to have the answer for it. What is?
Okay.
Adrienne, what's going on? I'm a mom too. What's going on? What's happening in our country? I don't understand. I can't put what is going on?
I don't know. I know what the numbers tell me. I know that my children are much more likely to die in a school shooting or from suicide, and I don't think that's going to happen. But that's where the mental illness is huge with our students right now. The suicides and those numbers are the numbers that we need to be paying attention to, not the
COVID.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
I think after being shut down, and I was talking to my college sons, it's hard to say which of your kids get screwed the most in the last year and a half. Is it the one who was a high school senior who lost his entire senior year, the graduation, the prom, all of the things, and his freshman? Who is it? Is it everybody? I think it's everybody. We have allowed poor leadership to affect the people that we care most about, and it's the next generation. And I agree with you, the staggering number of suicides, the staggering number of overdose deaths. Adrienne, I know as a mom, you're scared to death about all this stuff. You've got to be in your kids' stuff all the time, like I am, just talking to them, making sure they're okay.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I can say that my eyes are wide open now because, once you start coming after the kids, that's when things, I think, hopefully that gives me a little bit of hope that, people are awake now and we're not going to let them get our kids,
I agree 100%, and I'm with you. I've got your back on that one. I am, to say that I'm gratified that you listen from Michigan is an understatement. I appreciate that your message to us this morning. I appreciate that. And we've got to figure this out, and it's got to start with we the people. And Adrienne, I hope everything goes okay. Feel free to keep in touch with us. And Godspeed, my friend. Take good care of those boys.
I will. Thank you. I appreciate your show.
Thank you. I appreciate you. What did she say? When you come after our kids, it's game over. It's that moment. It's the snap. I said this in Loudoun County. When I saw the picture of Scott Smith, the 48-year-old plumber with the shirt pulled up, ripped, with his arms behind his back at a freaking school board meeting where he was going to speak out against the transgender policy in the bathrooms because his daughter had been sodomized in one and their school board had covered it up. The superintendent had lied about it. And they went so far as to break the law and not report it and several other alleged actions on their campus to law enforcement. I knew it then. Game on. Forget about it. Adults can take a lot. I can take a lot of punches. I bounce back pretty good, but you want to talk about my kids? You want to get in the face of my kids? You better watch out. And this is what we're saying.
Now, you've seen a lot of hate on social media.
Sure.
Do you think that's the major problem? Because kids don't know how to handle hate. They don't know how to say, I don't know who you are, so I really don't care what you think.
Do you want to know what my belief is? The number one biggest problem in our country was the invention of the cell phone. Sounds outlandish, but it is because of this stupid device that we don't see our kids at dinner time anymore. It is because of this stupid device that your boss expects you to be on call 24/7. And last time I checked, you're probably not a doctor. It is because of this device that weakling ne'er-do-wells can hide behind anonymity and spew vile comments to each other. It's because of this that I believe we the people have had our growth dramatically stunted. There's a reason why China puts parameters on gaming for its students. You can play 2 hours a week, not Sunday through Monday or Sunday through Thursday, but you can play for an hour on Friday and maybe an hour on Saturday. And that's it, because in China, they want you to learn, not be in your games. Can you imagine if everybody had to give these up? Would your life really be that different? Hell yeah, it would. Would it be better? I submit to you, absolutely. Absolutely. More Gains Fitness has been a proud supporter of this Wendy Bell radio program, and it is deeply gratifying to me to be able to say that too, because I get behind what Kelly Morgan does with her 4 fitness facilities in Somerset and Cambria counties in Pennsylvania. I like the layout. I like the philosophy. I like the cleanliness. I like the openness. I like that they offer kettlebell classes. Kettlebells will kick your butt. They offer classes, Zumba classes, so you can get with other people. I've never taken yoga. I've always wanted to. Yoga classes. They do all sorts of stuff. Interesting ways for you and your family to get fit. But it's the people behind the fitness facility that make it special. Patriots, veterans, lovers of America, believers in your ability to take back your life. More Gains Fitness. Get in touch with them. They've got great deals, membership deals, and they're really, really great people. MoreGainsFitness.com, MORGAINZ, MoreGainsFitness.com. Check them out. Not really sure how to wrap all this up today, ladies and gentlemen. There's been some facts, there's been some sound, there's been a hell of a lot of feeling. And I think that is the ingredient of a good show. We'll figure it out. We'll walk you to the finish line. And remember, good jokes or bad jokes and good news tomorrow. Got to email Brock, wbrbrock@gmail.com. We're back right after this. I want you guys to hear this real fast. She goes, this is from Adrian. And she says, I live in Oakland County, Michigan, less than 20 miles from Oxford High School. My boys, along with hundreds of other students, have been reporting threats on social media that their schools are next. Now, most area districts have closed schools today. I'm so frustrated and angry and sad that this generation is growing up in this kind of world. I'm thankful for your radio program, especially when I find myself in personal crisis from the state of our country. I appreciated your streams while you were on vacation during the Afghanistan withdrawal disaster, Brock 2, and I'm feeling those same thoughts of anger and frustration now. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the subject. Thanks for all you do. I have the same thoughts that you have.
We might have to do a show, maybe while your kids are on break, and have some of them and their friends come in and talk about social media.
Not a bad idea.
Because I mean, I know I couldn't go without my phone as much as I have to talk to you all day.
You know what? We would figure it out. You'd go back to that. I mean, is it pie in the sky garbage? Of course it is.
Right.
But this is the biggest scourge. I hate the people who invented the technology that we all are suckered by now. The lack of personal conversation anymore, one-on-one. I'm as guilty as anybody else. I throw stones at my kids all day long about how buried they are in their devices. And what am I doing? Checking my email on my computer, doing the same jazz that they do. Just as guilty.
JD out.
John D'Onofrio is the lawyer I use and I trust with some of life's most delicate and personal matters, like passing your wealth on to the people you love when you're no longer here. Who wants to really sit down and think about that? Hey, Merry Christmas. Let's create an estate plan. You know what? It is a good time to do that, actually. And it's not as difficult as you think when you have somebody like an estate lawyer with 40 years of experience. And that guy is John D'Onofrio. He understands this legal maze. He knows the questions to ask. And I love this about him. As a member of the Academy of Special Needs Planners, he's helped hundreds of families set up guardianship and trusts for their special needs children. That is called peace of mind. Get yours by picking up the phone and calling 412-928-2068. 412-928-2068. Attorney and friend, John D'Onofrio. Man, we've allowed a lot of people to make bad decisions. And they're asking us now, they're on the doorstep, knocking on the door, telling us not that it's our choice to open the door, but that they're barging in that door, ready to claim more of our decisions, more of our freedoms, under the guise of a variant of a virus whose very makeup is designed to mutate. And we're told now that it is mandatory if you are to be fully vaccinated, that you've got to have that booster shot. People are still getting sick though. Can we all just be honest for a minute and tell losers like Dr. Fauci, it doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. And we, the people who love our children, are not going to allow you to force us to inject them with something that you don't know a damn thing about. Don't tell me this is the way to beat the virus, that we have to vaccinate the world. No, we most assuredly don't. What we need to get back in the business of is freedom of thought, freedom of self-determinism, freedom of my body, my choice. And it doesn't just go with abortion, ladies and gentlemen, as the left wants to cry out, as they want to stand on the steps of the Supreme Court and say, it's a woman's choice to do with her body what she wants. But when it comes to your child, he or she can't be educated without it. Really? Please rectify that for me. Inquiring minds certainly want to know. They've picked the wrong street fight. I don't know about you guys. I'm not afraid of dying. I don't wake up with some dread of getting sick. I'm not afraid of a diagnosis. I'm not worried about what tomorrow will bring. I don't think that COVID is going to kill me. I've had it. I survived it. I watched my kids. They had a headache for a day. They were done with it. I'm not afraid. I choose to live my life according to my own rules. I'm very comfortable with that. And if that means that I have no friends ever again in my life, I'm also comfortable with that too. But this push on the doorstep to now walk into the next chapter of oppression, of suppression, of rule without reason, you can buzz off. Absolutely not. Fundamentally no. Did you hear about the county in California? And I beg your pardon, I don't know which one it is. It is a small county where they're literally breaking away from the rest of California and saying, yo, we are not down with these edicts. We have our own constitutional rule here. We are going to do what we want. Take your freaking syringes, Gavin Newsom, take your hair gel and go suck it. Amen. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see a complete shifting of our demographics. People are leaving. I'm out of here. I don't want to be here. You don't represent my values. I'm not going to be fake on trash night anymore and make small talk with you. I fundamentally don't believe what you believe. And if you want your kids to take the elixir because you think it's the right thing to do because some bureaucrat told you so, hey, I hope it works out for you. But here's a news flash. They're not going to know until 2026 about the jab in kids between the ages of 5 and 12. 5 years. You're willing to roll the dice on that? I shudder to think what can and may happen down the road for everybody who jumped on the bandwagon because they decided to go for fear rather than facts. That instead of doing homework and researching these people who believe that they are beyond reproach because they represent science and fell for it. I know you've got remorse and you should. But you can stop the madness before it takes out somebody else, like your kids. So Brock and I will be waiting with bated breath for what I'm sure will be a dizzyingly articulate press conference today by Joe Biden. Wherever he's supposed to be, I forget because I don't care anymore. Where he's going to pretend, even though we hear from the director of the freaking Medical Association of South Africa that put Omicron on the map and herself aghast at the runaway craziness that is meant to do one thing, and that is to control you and your body and your life. If you fall for it, that's on you. If you want to live with the paralyzing fear, that's on you. Stay away from me. Don't expect me to go down the other aisle in the grocery store because you don't want to get too close. How about this? Those of you who are afraid, stay the hell home. Let the rest of us who remember what freedom and liberty feels like to live our lives, because you're getting in the way. Put on your mask, put on your stupid purple gloves, be afraid, test your friends in the garage. We're going to go about and live our lives. We're going to save America from lunatics who want to give it away. Street fight on, ladies and gentlemen. Snapped. Had enough. You were made for this moment. We're not just watching history unfold. We are making it happen. Which chapter do you want to be a part of? The choice is always yours. And we've got lots of room for you on this side. Thank you for tuning into the Wendy Bell Radio program. Until tomorrow.